Lata 60.
The 1960s, often referred to as a period of our small stability in People's Poland, the second descending wave of Gomulka's rule forced Polish cinema to abandon its natural course of development, as seen in the period of the Polish School. This was the result of artificial containment in the form of a secret resolution of the Central Committee of the Communist Party in June 1960, which essentially shut down the type of filmmaking represented by the Polish School. Every action causes a reaction. In a country ruled by a regime such as People's Poland, this reaction had to be expected. Once again, it was a returning wave. We will see this type of hidden opposition in cinema again in the 1970s. This resolution was not made public at the time. Its provisions were first introduced at the so-called Spała Convention in the fall of 1960. And the conclusions were then presented to filmmakers. Allegedly, the mood at this conference was similar to that of a wake. Some filmmakers considered working abroad, an example of which was Andrzej Wajda's departure for Yugoslavia to make Powiatowa Lady Macbeth, Siberian Lady Macbeth. But the show had to go on. The conclusions from the secret resolution could be summarized in 4 points that outline Polish filmmaking in the 1960s. Because the film industry was centrally planned and filmmakers had to comply with this party resolution, even though it was never voted on in parliament, it was simply a party decree.
Uchwały partyjnej, chociaż ona nie była przez żaden Sejm, prawda, głosowana, to było po prostu zarządzenie partyjne i koniec. Musieli się do niej dostosować. Po pierwsze, proszę bardzo, tematyka historyczna.
First, there was the subject of contemporary history. In the official ideological interpretation of the party, the alliance with the Soviet Union, etc.
No, stąd ta nowa
This resulted in the new approach to portraying recent history, especially the events of the Second World War, in the spirit of what was unofficially referred to as the Moczar faction, a group with a certain ideological stance. A great interpretation of this approach was the political writing of Colonel Zbigniew Załuski, very popular at the time, according to which the outcome of the Second World War should be regarded as victorious, that the right political line won, and the power went to the right people, and that this approach, rather than one of tragedy, was the proper way of discussing the war. Films that best expressed this approach included a collection of films directed by Jerzy Passendorfer in the 1960s. Based on the prose of the literary members of the Moczar faction. Including writers Roman Bratny and Wojciech Żukrowski, or even Mieczysław Moczar himself, though there is some controversy among historians regarding the true authorship of his memoirs entitled Barwy Walki, Battle Colors. Supposedly written by Moczar, the book was published in several editions and had wide circulation. Arguably, the most famous film in this new series was Barwy Walki, Battle Colors, by Jerzy Passendorfer, who tried to hijack, so to speak, the romantic legend of the Home Army, Armia Krajowa, in favor of the new legend of the People's Army, Armia Ludowa, the communist forces he described. Other filmmakers continued to work in the spirit of the Polish school. They did not go silent. They continued to make their films. Though not everyone. Andrzej Munk died tragically in 1961 before finishing work on his last feature, Pasażerka, Passenger. Andrzej Wajda, to put it bluntly, had his new projects blocked. 2 major screenwriting projects, finished projects, based on which he wanted to make films in the 1960s. One being an adaptation of Stefan Żeromski's Przedwiośnie, The Spring to Come, the other based on an original screenplay by Aleksander Ściborylski, Człowiek z marmuru, Man of Marble, a finished script printed in the Kultura weekly magazine, which, incidentally, was edited by journalists who were among the greatest critics of the Moczar faction. Neither of those films received the green light from the authorities for filming. Others tried and fought, an example of which was Wojciech Has. A late example of the approach presented by the Polish school was his feature Szyfry, The Codes, which addressed the experience of Poland under Nazi occupation as seen through a very original filter of a double point of view. On the one hand, an elderly gentleman, played by Jan Kretschmar, who arrives in Poland, in Krakow, for the first time in the mid-1960s, to see the family he once left behind, and through the memories of his eldest son, played by Zbigniew Cybulski, a character also named Maciek, by the way. He tries to come to terms with the death of his younger son, who had been killed during the war. He cannot understand this death until he realizes that this younger son had simply been infected with evil, mesmerized by Nazi power, and he was murdered by fellow Poles who feared he would become an informer.
Jędrka? Tak. To było w Gorczy. Kiedy? Zaraz po zabraniu z domu. Nie wiedziałam wtedy, że go zabrali. A nic nie wiedziałam o śmierci Mariana. Przyjechali furmanką ze stacji. Czekałam na nich, bo poprzedniego dnia zawiadomili mnie, że przyjadą. Kto? Nie mówiono kto. Miałem pokazać drogę do lasu i podać hasło. Oprócz furmana było ich 2. Jędrek, który spał. Widziałam jego głowę, był przykryty płachtą. Więc znaczy, że go odbili. Ty nie możesz zrozumieć, co do ciebie mówię. Nie możesz zrozumieć. To nie znaczy, że go odbili. To znaczy, że nasi go zabrali. Rozumiesz, biedaku? Nasi.
Taka historia.
That's the story.
Czy na przykład Tadeusz Konwicki, który w filmie Salto,
Or Tadeusz Konwicki, for example, who in his feature Salto, Somersault, creates an extremely original performance, a dance drama with music for the eponymous Somersault composed by Wojciech Kilar.
Ze wspaniałą kompozycją, z muzyką do tytułowego Salta Wojciecha Kilara, trochę nawiązującą do odwiecznego polskiego motywu Wesela Wyspiańskiego, z tym samym nieodłącznym, najważniejszym...
Somewhat reminiscent of the traditional Polish motif from Wyspiański's Wesele, the wedding, of course featuring Poland's most prolific actor of the time, Zbigniew Cybulski. Various attempts were made at keeping his mythical character of Maciek Helmicki, of Ashes and Diamonds, alive, having no other opportunities in the world of culture, nor any literary basis.
O tych próbach
That would be it in terms of summarizing the attempts at the new approach to recent history and the Second World War. The second point of the 1960 secret resolution stated that, by all means, contemporary issues should be addressed widely and in a compelling manner, but only in the spirit of the appropriate ideology.
Ale w duchu obowiązującej wykładni ideologicznej. To było bardzo trudne.
This was very difficult, because few were willing to make such ideologically charged propaganda films, and filmmakers tried different solutions. It was the documentary filmmakers who seemed to have the best way of dealing with this view of current events. Authors of the recent Black series, the creative duo of Kazimierz Karabasz and Władysław Ślesicki went their separate ways, each with his own approach to depicting reality. Kazimierz Karabasz, with his 1960 film Muzykanci, Sunday Musicians, a very original 9-minute film, a masterpiece of the genre, started a unique type of documentary filmmaking.
Zapoczątkował pewien typ dokumentu nazwany potem Szkołą Karabasza. Składającym się z takich dwóch głównych
later dubbed the Karabash School, consisting of two key elements. First, avoiding staging as much as possible, which, as we know, is almost impossible in documentary filmmaking, but at least a full verifiability of the documentary protagonists. Second, selecting positive examples to serve as protagonists. That is, avoiding falsifying reality, while also avoiding trouble with censorship. Telling stories of people who are fulfilled in their work, doing their best, precisely like the protagonists of Muzykanci, Sunday Musicians, tram drivers who formed a music band after hours.
Krócej, żeby to było. Jeszcze raz,
or the protagonists of Węzeł, railway junction, people working at the railway junction in Tarnowskie Góry, who attempt the impossible, allowing all the trains to pass through this small area while keeping all trains running on schedule. Or the protagonist of Rok Franka W, a year in the life of Franek W, an employee of the Work Corps. But unfortunately for the director, and through no fault of his own, the premiere of this film coincided with an action of compulsory Work Corps for students after the events of March 1968, and Karabasz was later resented for it.
Jest mi ciężko tutaj, ale o tym nikomu nie będę mówił. 4 rano pobudka i wstawanie, godzina 5 to już wyjeżdżanie do pracy, o 15 powracanie, o 16 wyjazd na kurs zawodowy. Ja do takiego wypełnionego czasu wszystko na komendę nie mam przyzwyczajenia. W domu robiłem, ale nie tak na komendę.
The depiction of the present day in narrative films was more difficult. It would either be an attempt at reviving the producer-centered films, films about labor such as Wanda Jakubowska's Gorąca Linia, The Hotline, Witold Lesiewicz's Miejsce dla jednego, Place for One, some of the more forgotten films which don't even get reruns on Kino Polska, a television station dedicated to Polish films. There were also attempts at unconventional ways of discussing the present day, by handpicking the protagonists of various literary works. Noteworthy examples include Ktokolwiek wie, Whoever May Know by Kazimierz Kutz, Jowita by Janusz Morgenstern, based on Stanisław Dygat's Disneyland, Głos z tamtego świata, The Voice from Beyond by Stanisław Różewicz. These are single examples of an original take on contemporary times, one that inspires further reflection. The third point, and this is arguably the group of films from that period that are most enjoyed today, are genre films. The resolution itself was a subliminal appeal to filmmakers, saying, start making films for the people. Try your chances with genre cinema. We'll do our best to look the other way should you tread into dangerous censorship territory. In the field of comedy, the late accomplishments of Leonard Buczkowski, such as Smarkula, Teenager, Marysia i Napoleon, Maria and Napoleon, or the early films of Stanisław Bareja, a whole collection of films produced by Rhythm Studio, from the hilarious and popular Mąż swojej żony, husband of his wife, to the slightly less popular Przygoda z piosenką, Adventure with the Song. And with an attempt at a new type of musical about the mundane aspects of 1960s Poland in Małżeństwo z rozsądku, Marriage of Convenience. These are some of the better examples. But even within the world of melodramas, there was Niekochana, Unloved, by Janusz Nasveter, most known for his films for children.
Kamil, ja chcę tylko, żebyśmy się rozstali jak ludzie.
Jak ty wyglądasz?
Ryś pisał, żebym się już zaczęła starać o papiery. Ja wyjadę.
Po co mnie szukałeś? Już 9 dni byliśmy bez siebie.
Zostań ze mną. Jeszcze tylko 2 tygodnie. Proszę. Tylko do mojego wyjazdu.
Żeby się znowu zamęczać.
Kamil.
Nie.
Filmu kryminalnego.
Or crime movies. The first Polish crime series, Kapitan Sowa na tropie, Captain Sowa on the Trail, also by Bareja, or the highly original war comedy Giuseppe w Warszawie, Giuseppe in Warsaw by Stanisław Lenartowicz.
Smakowała w Amorach. Mój Boże, dlaczego ja nie mam brata? Komisarz Stasiek. Ciao.
A nawet polski western.
There was even a Polish western set in the Polish Wild West at the end of the war in 1945, that is, in the regained territories of Western Poland. Based on an excellent screenplay by Józef Henn, an adaptation of Toast called Prawo i Pięść, The Law and the Fist, with an unusual Western hero played by Gustav Holoubek, who, in the film's final scene that clearly references High Noon, conquers a whole gang of plunderers, saving the equipment and the city itself for future settlers, who arrive in town in the final scene, which is set to a beautiful ballad by Krzysztof Komeda and Agnieszka Osiecka. While he, the hero, leaves it behind because nothing good happened to him there. Just like in High Noon, a lonely, forsaken hero.
Dzieci urodzą się nowe nam i spójrz, będą śmiać się, że my znów wspominamy ten podły czas, porę burz.
Po czwarte wreszcie.
The fourth point made by the secret party resolution hinted at one other opportunity, which seemed particularly appealing to some. Here, take this national literature, use it, take these epic novels, make adaptations, go ahead. If it's not against the rules of People's Poland, we'll even give you big budgets. And thus a unique genre was created, that of the Polish historic supergiant, as it was then dubbed. One of these started at the end, since he couldn't start at the beginning, since a screen version of Ogniem I Mieczem with fire and sword would have never made it past the censors. Any attempts at addressing the Polish-Ukrainian conflict or the war with the Cossacks seemed impossible in the 1960s. But Pan Wołodyjowski, published in English as Fire in the Steppe, was all right. Jerzy Hoffman launched this series with Pan Wołodyjowski, Colonel Wołodyjowski. Actually, no. Saying he launched it is inaccurate. It was really launched earlier by Wojciech Has, with what was arguably the most original among these films, these grand period pieces. Rękopis znaleziony w Saragosie, the Saragossa manuscript, produced in 1963 and 1964, a film based on a novel that is officially considered part of French literature. French literature rightfully takes pride in this piece, written by Polish aristocrat Jan Potocki. An extremely original individual, traveller, politician, inventor, the first man to make a balloon flight over Warsaw, etc. It was written over the course of 20 years in the late 18th and early 19th century, a skeptical novel by an elderly wise man, and later adapted by Wojciech Has with incredible finesse. Never Leaving Poland, scored by Krzysztof Penderecki and featuring a cast of 160 exceptional actors, while maintaining the story within a story format of the novel, which brings us from one story into another and back.
Kilka dni później ojciec wrócił do domu z małżonką i jej siostrą Inezylią.
Najukochańsza żono, pani moja, zakupiłem parę mułów do twej karety.
Furthermore, the lead role was played by Zbigniew Cybulski, whom one might consider completely unfit for the part, as he hated period costumes. He couldn't see well without glasses, but on set he had to perform without glasses. He was completely lost, which did wonders for expressing the state of mind of his protagonist and the skeptical attitude of the aristocrat author. This resulted in a film that confused the audience. It was not instantly adored upon its release, but today it is considered a cult film. Martin Scorsese is a huge fan of the film. He even sponsored the first digital reconstruction of the Saragossa manuscript. It is also among the favorite films of Louis Buñuel, etc. A film that has found its place in world cinema. It was probably the most outlandish, to use modern phrasing, or unpredictable of Polish films, and a number of similar films followed in its suit, such as the unorthodox adaptation of Stefan Żeromski's Popioły, Ashes, made in those years by Andrzej Wajda, a black-and-white film that questioned the traditional understanding of patriotism. Going against the current of Polish tradition and shining light on its darker moments, such as the involvement of Polish troops in suppressing the Haitian Revolution. Then there was Faraon, Pharaoh by Jerzy Kawalerowicz, based on what was allegedly Joseph Stalin's favorite novel, his preferred bedtime book about power, about how to rule. At the same time, in the age of Mankiewicz's Cleopatra and other big-budget Hollywood blockbusters, Pharaoh was said to be the anti-Cleopatra. An epic film with a much smaller budget, albeit made with help from our Soviet friends, because it was filmed in the Soviet desert. With Soviet troops, it added a new aesthetic to Prus's novel. Ancient Egypt was portrayed in an unusually beautiful way. In addition, films such as Ashes, The Saragossa Manuscript and Pharaoh employed massive numbers of crew members in the film industry, ensuring its sustainability in the crisis years of the 1960s, when the number of films being produced was decreasing. We should dedicate at least a moment to the fantastic phenomenon of the Polish school of animation and its creators, from Witold Giersch to Daniel Szczechura to Mirosław Kijowicz, who created art using the language of animation, the language of Aesop.
Znów używając językiem animacji języka ezopowego, dość zobaczyć sztandar Mirosława Kijowicza.
One need only see Mirosław Kijowicz's Sztandar, the flag, a film almost literally about brainwashing, to understand how it was possible to have serious dialogue with the audience about politics, even in those days of censorship.
W czasach, kiedy przecież obowiązywała cenzura.
The last segment of this lecture must be dedicated to the so-called new cinema. We must remember that everything I'm discussing here is taking place in the 1960s, the decade that is most visually appealing in the history of cinema. When the grand works of Federico Fellini, Michelangelo Antonioni, Luis Buñuel, the French New Wave, the UK's Angry Young Men, or British New Wave, Brazil's Cinema Novo, etc., were being made. While in Poland, the best we could do was Mąż swojej żony, husband of his wife, or our prized possession, Rękopis znaleziony w Saragossie, the Saragossa Manuscript. This was far removed from the new aesthetics of New Wave cinema, and attempts at these new aesthetics were also made. The first example of the New Wave aesthetics with the Godardesque understanding of film auteurs, where Jerzy Skolimowski doesn't so much discuss reality as he toys with his own vision of this reality, and his 4 films made between 1963 and 1967. Rysopis, Identification Marks None, Walkover, Walkover, Bariera, Barrier. These 3 films were released theatrically and travelled to all major festivals. And the 4th film, Ręce do góry, Hands Up, which was not released at the time as it did not make it past the censors, this tetralogy was a showcase of the new opportunities offered by cinema. New possibilities of depicting reality with low budgets and with a feeling of creative freedom. Attempts were being made at promoting what was referred to as the third cinema, a new film phenomenon. This was not successful, but it facilitated late debuts such as Henryk Kluba's Chudy I inni, Skinny and others, followed by Słońce wschodzi raz na dzień, The Sun Rises Once a Day, or Janusz Majewski's Sublokator, The Lodger, or sometimes early debuts such as Żywot Mateusza, The Life of Matthew, a film made at the Łódź Film School that almost won the Golden Palm in Cannes. If the festival hadn't been cancelled following the events of May 1968 in France, who knows, it may well have received the Golden Palm.
Zabawnie wyglądasz.
Tak, oczywiście. Jest prawie tak, jak zawsze marzyłem i śniłem. Zresztą niewiele rzeczy się śni.
O!
No tak, ale o takie sprawy nie należy pytać.
Oczywiście, my też miewamy sny i wiemy, jak to bywa.
This was successful. It brought a certain freshness to the film world. A watershed moment that brought on a new period was Andrzej Wajda's Wszystko na sprzedaż, Everything for Sale.
z roku 68.
Also made in 1968, which on the one hand was an expression of a type of nausea in the wake of the events of March 1968, it lampooned the culture of what was then called the Duchy of Warsaw, to use those exact words uttered by Daniel Olbryski. It was also a homage to the deceased actor Zbigniew Cybulski, and as such it was a homage to a certain era.
Znany polski aktor filmowy zginął wczoraj w tragicznym wypadku, gdy usilował wyskoczyć ze znajdującego się w pełnym biegu pociągu osobowego. Skok ten zakończył się tragicznie. Aktor dostał się pomiędzy wagony. Na nieszczęście ciężko ranną ofiarę znaleziono dopiero w jakiś czas po wypadku i odwieziono karetką pogotowia do najbliższego szpitala. Jak oświadczył korespondentowi Polskiej Agencji Prasowej lekarz dyżurny, aktora przywieziono w stanie agonii z bardzo poważnymi ranami głowy i klatki piersiowej. W tym wypadku żaden z zastosowanych zabiegów nie dał rezultatu i w kilkanaście minut później nastąpiła śmierć. Po ostatnich odwilżach sytuacja na drogach całego kraju uległa zdecydowanej poprawie.